Bullies put glue in her hair. They had no idea she was a fighting champion. Maya Patel stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, her fingers trembling as they traced the jagged edges of what remained of her once beautiful hair. Clumps of it stuck together in a hardened mass, the superglue having dried overnight despite her desperate attempts to wash it out. Tears welled in her dark brown eyes, but she blinked them back. At 16 years old and only 2 months into her time at Westfield High, Maya had already learned that showing weakness only made things worse. She'd spent 3 hours in the emergency room last night, where a sympathetic nurse had carefully cut away as much of the damaged hair as possible, leaving Maya with an uneven, choppy pixie cut that made her ears stick out. Her mother had cried more than she had, promising to take her to a proper salon after school today to fix what could be salvaged. It doesn't matter what I look like, Maya thought, squaring her shoulders. Today everything changes. Maya wasn't just any new student. Before moving to this suburban nightmare due to her father's job transfer, she'd spent the last 8 years training in Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. By 14, she'd become the junior national champion in her weight class. At 15, she'd represented the country in international competition. Fighting was in her blood. Her father was a former professional fighter turned coach, and her mother a self-defense instructor. But when they'd moved to Westfield, her parents had asked her to keep a low profile, to try being just a normal teenager for once. No fighting unless absolutely necessary, her father had said. Give yourself time to make friends without the fighter reputation preceding you. So she'd hidden that part of herself, dressing in loose-fitting clothes that concealed her athletic build, avoiding gym class with a doctor's note about a fictional knee injury, and biting her tongue when Amber Sullivan and her crew had started targeting her from day one. Maya pulled a beanie over her butchered hair and took a deep breath. The glue incident yesterday had been the final straw. Amber and her 2 sidekicks, Tiffany Wright and Zoe Lambert, had snuck up behind her in the cafeteria and squeezed an entire bottle of industrial-strength superglue onto her head, while everyone watched and laughed. No one had warned her, no one had helped her, and Mr. Keller, the teacher on lunch duty, had merely told her to go clean up, without so much as a reprimand for the perpetrators. Absolutely necessary, she decided, remembering her father's words. This qualifies. Westfield High School, sprawled across several acres of meticulously maintained grounds, its red brick buildings and manicured lawns projecting an image of academic excellence and social harmony that couldn't be further from reality. For Maya, the school had become a battlefield, where she navigated hallways like minefields and classrooms like enemy territory. The whispers started the moment she stepped through the front doors. Oh my God, look at her hair. Serves her right. For thinking she could sit at that table. Bet she'll transfer schools now. Maya kept her eyes forward, ignoring the stares and comments. She headed straight for her locker, where she quickly exchanged books for her morning classes. As she closed the metal door, she sensed a presence behind her. Nice haircut. Maya be ugly. Amber's voice dripped with mock sweetness. I think the janitor look really works for you. Maya turned slowly. Amber Sullivan stood with perfect posture, her long blonde hair cascading over the shoulders of her designer jacket. Behind her, Tiffany and Zoe flanked her like loyal guards, their matching sneers perfectly practiced. Nothing to say. Amber tilted her head. Cat got your tongue. Or maybe it's glue. The 3 girls dissolved into laughter, drawing attention from other students who gathered to watch the show. Maya simply stared back, her face expressionless. Not here, not now. Patience. What's wrong with you? Are you actually retarded or something? Amber stepped closer, her voice dropping to a hiss. No one wants you here. Go back to whatever third world country you crawled out of. Maya had been born in Chicago, but she'd long since stopped correcting this particular misconception. Instead, she shouldered her backpack and moved to step around the trio. Amber wasn't finished. She stuck out her foot, sending Maya stumbling forward. Only years of training kept her from falling flat on her face. Instead, she caught herself with the grace of someone with exceptional body awareness. Oops, Amber said, to more laughter from the growing audience. Maya continued walking, her heart pounding not with fear, but with the effort of restraint. You have no idea who you're dealing with, but you will. The morning dragged on interminably. In English class, someone had scrawled "Glue Girl" across her desk in permanent marker. In biology, her lab partner refused to work with her, telling the teacher, I don't want to catch whatever made her hair fall out. By lunchtime, Maya had been tripped twice more, had her books knocked from her hands once, and endured countless whispers and snickers. She sat alone at the far end of a cafeteria table, picking at a sandwich her mother had made that morning. Normally she'd have chosen a secluded corner of the library to eat, but today she wanted to be seen, needed to be where they would find her. She didn't have to wait long. "Well, if it isn't the hairless wonder," Amber announced, placing her tray directly across from Maya. Tiffany and Zoe joined her, along with 2 male students, Amber's boyfriend Derek Foster, a stocky football player with more muscles than sense, and his friend Jason Rivera, tall and lean with perpetually narrowed eyes. Maya continued eating, not looking up. "Hey, I'm talking to you," Amber snapped, reaching across to knock Maya's sandwich to the floor. "God, you're such a freak. No wonder you have no friends," Derek laughed. "Maybe we should glue her mouth shut next, improve her looks." Maya slowly raised her eyes to meet his. "You shouldn't make threats you can't back up." The table went quiet for a moment before they all burst into laughter. "Oh my God, it speaks," Zoe exclaimed, "and it makes jokes." "That wasn't a joke," Maya said quietly, but they weren't listening. "What are you going to do?" cried to the principal. "Again?" Amber mocked. "We all know that worked out great last time." Maya had indeed gone to Principal Winters after the first week of harassment. He'd assured her he would speak with the students involved, but nothing had changed except the intensity of the bullying. "No," Maya said, rising from her seat. "I'm not going to cry to anyone." She walked away, leaving her lunch behind, feeling their eyes on her back. As she pushed through the cafeteria doors, she heard Jason call out, "Run away, Baldy, better watch your back." "No," she thought, "you watch yours." The rest of the day passed in a blur of whispers and sidelong glances. In gym class, which Maya attended for the first time since arriving at Westfield, Coach Bennett had taken one look at her and said, "Patel, you're excused if you want to sit this one out," gesturing vaguely at her head. "I'm fine to participate," Maya replied, pulling off her beanie to reveal her choppy hair in all its glory. A few girls giggled behind their hands. "Your call," Coach Bennett shrugged, clearly uncomfortable. "We're doing basic self-defense today." Maya nearly laughed at the irony. Instead, she took her place among the other students as they paired up for demonstrations. "I'll take the new girl," Derek volunteered with a smirk, stepping forward before Coach could assign partners. "I'll go easy on you, don't worry." Coach Bennett hesitated, then nodded. "Remember, this is just demonstration, no actual contact." "Sure." "Then, Coach," Derek said, his eyes never leaving Maya. They faced each other on the mats. Derek towered over her, his athletic build imposing in his gym clothes. He clearly expected her to be intimidated. "Basic wrist escape," Coach explained. Derek grabbed Maya's wrist as if you were going to drag her somewhere. "Maya, I'll talk you through how to break free." Derek seized her right wrist, his grip unnecessarily tight, fingers digging into her flesh. "Scared," he whispered. Maya looked directly into his eyes. "You should be." Before Coach could begin instructions, Maya executed a perfect wrist escape, twisting her arm in a fluid motion that broke Derek's grip instantly. The movement was so smooth and practiced that it seemed effortless. Derek blinked in surprise. "Lucky move, let's try again." This time he grabbed both her wrists, his expression darkening. Again Maya broke free with practiced ease, using leverage rather than strength. "Very good, Maya," Coach Bennett called, looking slightly surprised. "Have you done this before?" Maya shrugged. "A little." Derek's face flushed with embarrassment as snickers rippled through the class. "Let's try something else," he growled quietly. "How about a chokehold?" Before Coach could intervene, Derek lunged forward, wrapping his arm around Maya's neck from behind in a crude headlock. It was a blatant violation of the no-contact rule, but Derek clearly expected to get away with it. For a split second, Maya considered demonstrating exactly how to counter a headlock, a move that would leave Derek flat on his back, possibly with a dislocated shoulder. Instead, she went limp, allowing Coach Bennett to rush over and separate them. "Foster, that's enough. Principal's office now." "It was just a demonstration," Derek protested, but Coach was having none of it. "Now, Foster." As Derek skulked away, he shot Maya a venomous look. "This isn't over." Maya simply watched him go, her expression neutral. "No, it's not, but it will be soon." After school, Maya lingered at her locker longer than necessary, methodically organizing books she didn't need to take home. From the corner of her eye, she watched as most students filtered out of the building, heading for buses or the student parking lot. She was waiting for specific people. Her patience was rewarded when Amber, flanked as always by Tiffany and Zoe, strutted down the hallway toward the gym for cheerleading practice. Maya closed her locker and followed at a distance, slipping into the girls' locker room a few minutes after them. Inside, the chatter of cheerleaders echoed off metal lockers and tiled floors. Maya moved silently to a corner bench where she sat and began unlacing her shoes as if preparing to change. In reality, she was watching, listening. "Did you see her face in gym today?" Amber was saying, her voice carrying across the room. "When?" Derek grabbed her. "I thought she was going to pee herself. Too bad coach interfered," Tiffany replied. "Derek was just getting started." "Don't worry," Amber said, lowering her voice slightly. "He's waiting for her in the parking lot after practice. Jason too. They're going to scare her so bad she'll never come back." The girls laughed, unaware that the subject of their conversation was within earshot. Maya absorbed this information without reaction, continuing her preparations. She slipped out before any of them noticed her presence. Instead of heading for the exit, Maya made her way to the athletic field behind the school. There she found a secluded spot behind the equipment, shared, and began a series of stretches. For the first time since moving to Westfield, she allowed herself to move through her pre-fight routine, loosening muscles that had grown tense from disuse. As she worked, Maya thought about her parents' warnings. They had good intentions, wanting her to experience life as something other than the fighter girl, but they hadn't anticipated this level of cruelty, hadn't understood what it meant to be the outsider in a place like Westfield High. After her stretches, Maya removed her beanie and baggy sweatshirt, standing in her tank top, despite the autumn chill. She closed her eyes and began shadowboxing, her movements precise and powerful. Punches sliced through the air, followed by elbow strikes, knee thrusts, and perfectly executed kicks. Her body remembered what her mind had been forced to suppress. For 45 minutes she trained alone, until the distant sound of cheerleaders leaving the gym signaled that it was time. Maya pulled her sweatshirt back on, but left the beanie off. She wanted them to see her, to remember exactly who they had targeted. Time to end this. The student parking lot was nearly empty by the time Maya walked across it, her footsteps deliberate and unhurried. Near the far corner, by a cluster of trees that separated school property from the adjacent park, she spotted them, Derek and Jason, leaning against Derek's truck, clearly waiting. Amber, Tiffany, and Zoe stood nearby, still in their cheerleading uniforms. Maya walked directly toward them, maintaining a steady pace. "Well, look who it is," Derek called out as she approached. "Baldy decided to show up after all. We thought you might have run home to Mommy," Jason added with a sneer. Maya stopped about 10 feet away from the group, setting her backpack on the ground beside her. "I wanted to give you all one chance," she said calmly. "One chance for what?" Amber laughed, flipping her perfect hair over one shoulder. "To apologize, to promise you'll leave me alone from now on." The group exchanged glances before bursting into laughter. "Are you serious right now?" Derek pushed himself away from the truck, taking a step toward her. "You think you're in a position to make demands?" Maya remained still. "It's not a demand. It's an opportunity. You're only one." "Listen to this freak," Tiffany giggled. "What are you going to do if we don't apologize? Beat us all up?" Maya met her eyes steadily. "Yes." There was a moment of stunned silence before they all began laughing, again harder this time. "Oh my God, she's actually insane," Zoe gasped between fits of giggles. Derek moved closer, now only a few feet away from Maya. "I think we need to teach you a lesson about making threats," he said, his voice dropping to a menacing growl. "Hold her arms, Jason." Jason stepped forward eagerly, reaching for Maya. What happened next would later become school legend, though the details would vary wildly depending on who was telling the story. As Jason's hands reached for her, Maya moved with explosive speed. She sidestepped his grasp and delivered a lightning-fast elbow strike to his solar plexus. Jason doubled over, gasping for breath, his eyes wide with shock. Before he could recover, Maya swept his legs out from under him, sending him crashing. "To the pavement, what the—" Derek began, but Maya was already turning toward him. He swung a meaty fist at her head, a blow that would have caused serious damage if it had connected, but Maya ducked under it with fluid grace, stepping inside. His reach. Her counterattack was a combination taught to her by her father, 2 rapid body shots, followed by a devastating hook to the jaw. Derek staggered backward, his expression a mixture of pain and disbelief. Maya pressed her advantage, delivering a perfectly executed roundhouse kick to his thigh. His leg buckled and he fell to one knee. "Stay down," Maya warned, but Derek's pride wouldn't allow it. He lunged forward, attempting to tackle her to the ground. Maya sidestepped again, using his momentum against him. As he stumbled past, she grabbed his arm and executed a textbook judo throw. Derek hit the pavement hard, the air rushing from his lungs in an audible whoosh. By now, Jason had regained his feet and was circling cautiously. "Hi, you're dead, freak," he spat, though his voice trembled slightly. Maya turned to face him, her stance relaxed yet ready. "You can walk away," she offered. "This doesn't have to continue." Jason glanced at Derek, who was struggling to rise, then back at Maya. Something in her eyes must have convinced him she was serious, because he took a step backward. "This isn't over," he muttered, but the threat sounded hollow even to his own ears. Maya turned her attention to the three girls, who had watched the brief but decisive confrontation with growing horror. "You put glue in my hair," she said, her voice eerily calm as she advanced toward them. "You've tormented me for weeks, called me names, spread rumors, made my life hell." Amber found her voice first. "It was just a joke. We were just having fun." "Fun?" Maya repeated. "Was it fun when I had to go to the emergency room? When they had to cut chunks of my hair out? When I cried myself to sleep?" She was only a few feet away from them now. Tiffany and Zoe began backing up, but Amber stood her ground, though her confident facade was crumbling rapidly. "What are you going to do?" Amber asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Maya stopped directly in front of her. For a long moment, she simply stared into Amber's eyes, letting the other girl see exactly who she really was. Not a victim, but a predator who had been holding back. Then, with speed that made Amber flinch, Maya reached out and plucked a single long blonde hair from Amber's head. "I could hurt you," Maya said softly. "I could humiliate you the way you humiliated me, but that would make me just like you." She held up the blonde hair. "Consider this a reminder. Every time you think about targeting someone weaker, remember that you never know who they really are. Next time it might not be someone with my restraint." Amber swallowed hard, her eyes fixed on Maya's face. "We're done here," Maya declared, stepping back. "Spread the word. Maya Patel is off limits. So is anyone else you've been tormenting. It stops today." She turned and walked back to retrieve her backpack, aware of their eyes on her but unconcerned. Derek had managed to get to his feet, clutching his ribs, his expression a mixture of pain and fury. "How you can't just—" he began. Maya cut him off with a look. "I can. I did. It's over, Derek." As she walked away, she heard Tiffany's voice behind her. "Who the hell is she?" "They'll know soon enough," Maya thought. "They'll all know." Word spread through Westfield High like wildfire. By the next morning, everyone had heard some version of what happened in the parking lot. The stories grew more elaborate with each telling. Maya had taken on 5 football players. She had put Derek in the hospital. She was secretly an Olympic martial artist in witness protection. The truth was impressive enough. When Maya walked through the front doors, wearing her beanie again but with a new confidence in her stride, students parted to let her pass. Whispers followed her, but they were different now. Curious rather than cruel, respectful rather than mocking. At her locker, she found Luis Morales waiting for her, a quiet senior who had witnessed her humiliation in the cafeteria many times, but never intervened. He now looked at her with new eyes. "Is it true?" he asked without preamble. "Did you really take down Derek and Jason?" Maya shrugged as she worked her combination lock. "They shouldn't have threatened me." Luis nodded slowly. "My cousin does MMA. He said your form was perfect. Said you obviously have serious training." 8 years, Maya replied, opening her locker. "National champion in my weight class for the last 3. Luis's eyes widened. "Why didn't you say anything? Why did you let them treat you like that for so long?" Maya considered the question as she exchanged books. "My parents wanted me to try being normal for once, to make friends based on who I am, not what I can do in a ring." She closed the locker and turned to face him fully. "It didn't work out so well." "I'm sorry," Luis said suddenly, "for not helping, for watching and doing nothing." The apology surprised her. "Why would you have helped? You didn't know me." "That's not a good enough reason," he replied, looking genuinely ashamed. "None of us should have let it go on. We were cowards." Maya hadn't expected this. Accountability from a bystander. It softened something inside her that had hardened over the past months. "Well," she said after a moment, "you can make it up to me by showing me where the calculus classroom is. I've been here 2 months and I still get lost." Luis smiled, relief evident in his expression. "I can do that." As they walked to class together, Maya noticed the change in how people looked at her. There was curiosity, yes, and a healthy dose of caution, but there was also something that had been entirely absent before: respect. In the cafeteria at lunch, Maya sat at her usual isolated table, more from habit than preference. She had just unwrapped her sandwich when a shadow fell across the table. Looking up, she was surprised to see Amber standing there, alone for once. The cheerleader's confident posture was gone, replaced by a nervous energy that had her shifting from foot to foot. Maya waited, saying nothing. "Can I sit?" Amber finally asked, her voice uncharacteristically subdued. Maya considered her for a long moment before nodding once. Amber slid onto the bench across from her, setting down her tray with careful movements. Up close, Maya could see that her eyes were red-rimmed, as if she'd been crying. "I'm sorry," Amber blurted out after a tense silence. "What we did to you, what I did, it was cruel and wrong, and I'm sorry." Maya studied her, looking for signs of insincerity, finding none. "Why did you do it?" Amber looked down at her untouched food. "I don't know. Because you were different. Because you didn't seem to care what anyone thought. Because—" She trailed off, then admitted in a small voice, "Because I could, and no one stopped me." The honesty was unexpected. Maya took a bite of her sandwich, chewing thoughtfully before responding. "Apology accepted. Don't do it again, to me or to anyone else." Amber looked up, clearly surprised by the straightforward acceptance. "Just like that?" "Just like that," Maya confirmed. "Holding grudges takes too much energy." They ate in silence for a few minutes before Amber spoke again. "Your hair actually looks kind of cool like that. Different but cool." Maya touched her choppy locks self-consciously. "My mom took me to her stylist yesterday. She evened it out. But there wasn't much they could do until it grows back." "It suits you," Amber said, and it sounded genuine. "Makes you look tough." Maya almost smiled at that. "I don't need a haircut to be tough." "No," Amber agreed. "You definitely don't." By the end of the week, the dynamics of Westfield High had shifted noticeably. Derek and Jason kept their distance, nursing both injuries and wounded pride. Tiffany and Zoe followed Amber's lead in offering apologies, though theirs seemed more motivated by fear than genuine remorse. More significantly, other students who had previously been invisible to Maya now sought her out. Luis introduced her to his friend group, who welcomed her without reservation. A freshman girl who had been targeted by a group of senior boys asked Maya for self-defense advice, which led to an impromptu lesson behind the gym after school. When Coach Bennett discovered Maya's martial arts background, she asked her to help demonstrate techniques in gym class. Even Principal Winters, who had been so ineffective before, now nodded respectfully when passing her in the hallway. Maya's parents noticed the change in her as well. At dinner one night, her father set down his fork and studied her across the table. "You seem different," he observed. "More like yourself again." Maya met his gaze steadily. "I am myself again." "Does this have anything to do with why Derek Foster's father called me, making vague threats about his son's injuries?" Maya didn't flinch. "He attacked me. I defended myself." Her father sighed, but there was a hint of pride in his eyes. "We wanted you to have a chance at being normal. Normal is overrated," Maya replied with a small smile. "Besides, this is my normal. Fighting is part of who I am. I can't pretend it isn't just to make other people comfortable." Her mother reached across the table to squeeze her hand. "We're sorry, Beta. We should have trusted you to find your own way." "It's okay," Maya assured them. "I figured it out eventually." The next Monday, Maya walked into Westfield High without her beanie for the first time since the glue incident. Her short hair, now styled intentionally rather than shaped by necessity, drew compliments rather than mockery. In her fitted t-shirt and jeans, she made no attempt to hide her athletic build. As she moved through the hallways, she caught sight of a small freshman boy being cornered by a larger student near the water fountains. The larger boy was reaching for the freshman's backpack, an ugly smile on his face. Maya changed direction, moving purposefully toward the confrontation. The would-be bully saw her coming and immediately backed away, hands raised in surrender. I wasn't doing anything," he insisted before hurrying away. The freshman looked at her with wide, grateful eyes. "Thanks," he said, clutching his backpack to his chest. Maya nodded, then surprised herself by adding, "Want me to show you how to break a wrist hold, just in case?" The boy's face lit up. "Really? You do that?" "Sure," Maya said, realizing she meant it. "Meet me at the track after school." As she continued to her class, Maya reflected on the strange journey of the past few months. She had tried to hide who she was, only to discover that embracing her true self was the key to finding her place.